Welcome dear students. Welcome in one another session. Our today's topic is size reduction and I am Darshana Sandeep Shinde from Kekewag Institute of Pharmacy, Chanduri, Nashik. Let's start our session. Our today's lectures learning objects are to understand the concept of size reduction, mechanism of size reduction, pharmaceutical application of size reduction, factors affecting on the size reduction, levitation and illustrations. Let's start. First, the size reduction is the process of reducing particle size of the substance to the final state of subdivision to smaller pieces, to coarse particle or to powder. Size reduction is also referred as communication and grinding. When the particle size of solid is reduced by mechanical means, it is also known as milling. These are the basic concepts about the size reduction. Next, mechanism of the size reduction. The first one mechanism, that is cutting. The milling, different types of mill can be work on the different mechanisms. We see one by one all the mechanism. The first one is cutting. Here is the material is cut by means of sharp blade or blades. Example of its cutter mill. Then compression. In the compression, in this method the material is crushed between the rollers by application of pressure. The example of compression is roller mill. Then next mechanism is impact. In the impact occur when the material is more or less stationary and hit by an object moving at a high speed, or the moving particles stick stationary surface. In either case, the material shatters to smaller pieces. Usually both will take place since the subject is hit by moving hammer and the particles formed are thrown against the casing of the machine. This one is the mechanism of the impact. In impact, there is a hitting with the help of the hammers and material can be crushed. Then next, attrition. In the attrition, the material is subjected to the pressure as it in the compression, but the surfaces are moving relative to each other, resulting in the shear force which break the particle. In the attrition, there is a sharing and breaking of the force, and this one we see in the fluid energy mill. Let's we start one by one to study the different mills. Or before that, we learn about some pharmaceutical applications. Mills can be learned in another session. In this session, we learn we discuss the applications of the size reduction. First one is size reduction increases the surface area per unit, also known as the specific surface area. Second, the particle size control influences the duration of adequate serum, concentration, rheology and product syringely of a suspension of a penicillin G, procaine for the intramuscular injection. Then we can use the pharmaceutical field. The size reduction is useful in the rectal absorption of the aspirin to form a theobroma oil suppository is related to the particle size. Then there is an increase in the antiseptic action for the calomel ointment when the particle size of the calomel is reduced. Then the size of the particle is used in the inhalation aerosols, determine the position and retention of the particles in the bronchopulmonary system. The size may be affect texture, taste and rheology of the oral suspension in addition to absorption. The next one advantages or not advantages, we can say it's application of pharmaceutical field are the time required for the dissolution of solid chemicals in the preparation of solution is shortened by the use of the small particles. Then we see the different factors affecting on the size reduction. The first one is hardness. Hardness is a surface property of the material, although it is frequently confused with the property that could be better described as a strength. Hardness is nothing but the strength. Then toughness. Toughness of a material is sometimes more important than the hardness. A soft but a tough material may present more problem in the size reduction that a hard but brittle substances. For example of it is difficult to break the rubber than the stick of the blackboard chalk. Then abrasive. In the abrasive property, abrasiveness is a property of a hard material, that is particularly those of the mineral origin, and may be limit the type of the machinery that can be used. During the grinding of some very abrasive substances, the final powder may be contaminated with more than 0.1% of the metal worth from the grinding mill. Then next factor is stickiness. Stickiness is a property that causes a considerable difficulty in the size reduction for the material which adhere to grinding surface or meshes of the screen may become a choke. Then softening temperature. Softening temperature affects by during the size reduction the process sometimes heat is generated which may cause some substances are softened and the temperature at which this occur can be important one. The waxy substances such as stearic acid or drug contain oils or fats are the example that may be affected. The next factor which can affect on the size reduction, it is material structure. Some substances are homogeneous in character, but majority of some special structures, for example, mineral substances may have lines of weakness along which the material split to form the plex like the particle, while vegetable drugs have a cellular content or cellular structure of leading to the long fibrous particle. The next one factor is moisture content. In the moisture content influences a number of properties that can be affect size reduction. For example, hardness, toughness or stickiness in general material should be dry or wet or not merely damp. That means moisture content is affected in any condition or any type of material. It may be hard, it may be tough. The next factor, that is purity required. In the purity required, certain types of the size reduction apparatus causes the grinding surface to where such a method must be avoided if a high degree of purity of the product is needed. Similarly, some machines will be unsuitable to cleaning between the batches of the different material is difficult. The next factor is ratio of the fluid size to the product ratio. In this we see the machine that produces a fine may be necessary to carry out the size reduction process several stages with the different equipments. For example, preliminary crushing followed by the coarse grinding and then the fine grinding. The ratio of the particle size will be the low, then we get the more and more fine particles. Then next factor is bulk density. In the bulk density, the capacity of the most batch mills depend upon the volume, whereas the process usually demand the solid material or solid material by the weight. Hence, all other factors being equal, the output of the machine is related to the bulk density of the substance. Then last one is the physiological effect. Some substances are very potent and small amounts of dust have an effect on the operators. To avoid the dust, enclosed mills must be used. Systems that can be extract the air are also desirable, and wet grinding also if possible, as the eliminates the problem entirely. These are the different factors. Then we see the levigastion and elutriation. In the levigastion is the process of wet grinding. The material is converted into the paste with the water, and the grinding of the paste is done in a mortar using the flat-headed pestle. The process is used for the preparation of the light kaolin, chalk, red and yellow mercuric oxide, calamine, camphor. After this process of levigastion, the fine particles are separated from the coarse particle by the process of elutriation. Levigastion is nothing but the wet grinding of the material to form a paste. Then next one is elutriation. In the elutriations, this which we made the paste in the levigastion, this can be separated out in the elutriation process. Elutriation is the process of separation of fine particles and coarse particles from the paste obtained after the levigastion. The paste is mixed with the large volume of water, and the mixture is allowed to stand for the short period, during which the heavy coarse particles with the high density settle down on the bottom of the vessel. This one is all about the size reduction. Then thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you.